Hey everyone, just a quick disclaimer before this video starts. I have basically took up a new format kind of where I make the scene first and then do the tutorial in it. And I publish everything I make, including the before and after of this scene. So after the tutorial is done, I save and publish that, and I also publish the beforehand so you can follow along in the same scene. And just like a Media Molecule tutorial, you can do following the steps basically and build alongside with me. Also, want to shout out again, I just started Patreon, got a couple of patrons already, and we have been, you know, tingling in this private server I got. I've also invited quite a few big names in the Dreams community, like the Mad GFX crew, some very active people from the Dreams Discord, and I'd be back a few other Dreams creators. So if you are looking for a server like that, I got one. Just gotta become a Patreon supporter, you know. Got a link in the description. You know, just help me out a little bit. I don't know. Alright, well, video's about to start. Have fun. Bye. Hey everyone. So today, we're going to be going over how to make a shop. Just a shop where you can buy some stuff from a shopkeeper from a list. I held a poll on my Twitter, and out of choosing between a list of items to buy from or buying items from in the scene, like off the rack and stuff like that, kind of like GTA style or Red Dead Redemption 2, or through dialogue, you guys chose a list, so that's what we're going to be going with. I do have a couple of things set up in here already, which is obviously the models in the scene. I also have this cash pickup here that currently is just an animation, just a mover, rotator, and a signal generator. And then over here is just a couple of bits of logic for equipping. If you haven't seen my equip or inventory tutorials, I'd suggest you watch those before you watch this, in which case I'm going to put a card or some kind of pop-up in the video now. And also, let's see here, and over here, I also talked about my motherboard concept earlier. If you're going to be buying items and storing an inventory, you probably want that to be persistent throughout all your scenes. I talk about that in my motherboard and asset collections good game design video, and I will put a card for that now as well. You should probably watch that before you watch this, as well as the inventory tutorial. So in here on this motherboard, I just have inventory equipping as a logic bit right here, and I also have shopping as an inventory bit right here. So you can see equipped hat, equipped weapon, and this is using the ID system, so it's more of the advanced tutorial for inventory that I put up a while back ago. And then over here we have the variable modifiers to get the equipped hat and get the equipped weapon, and if it's the correct ID, in this case we have one. Our equipped hat ID 1 would mean that we'd be wearing the cowboy hat. Equipped hat ID 2 would mean we're wearing the top hat. Equipped weapon ID 1 would mean we're using the magic staff. So you can see that I already have that set up here on the actual player themselves. So you should really watch those tutorials before you watch this, unless you have intermediate understanding of logic, in which case you can probably apply this to what you have. But first off, one thing that when we're shopping is, what do we need? You need money. You always need money. So first off, we're going to go ahead and go over to our motherboard, and we're going to go open up our shopping logic, our shopping microchip, and we're going to go ahead and go to our gadget section. I'm going to go to logic processing, and we're going to get a variable. And we're going to go ahead and open up the properties of that. We're not going to be able to go into det, so I'm going to move the minimum value to 0, and then the maximum value, let's say, I don't know. It really depends on how rich you want your player to be, but I'd say it needs to be decently high. So let's try to get it to like 10,000 for now. That should be high enough. If not, then you can spend the 5 minutes or so. I think they're gonna come out with a new feature like here in an update or so where you're able to type in the value finally. Alright, and of course we're gonna want to persist in dream, so our cache is in every single level that we play in our dream. Alright, and now that we have that variable here, did we name it? No. We want to name this as cash, or money, moolah, anything like that. But it needs to be consistent. So we're just going to go with cash. Alright, and then let's go ahead and go over to our money that we have right here. Let's go ahead and do the pickup logic for this. Now, going with the previous gameplay tutorial that I have done, which was right before this one, was we used the official media molecule tutorial, media molecule objects, which had like a power-up for double jumping and increasing your speed. And the way they did it is they had a tag, and then on this tag was a name. So I think we're going to go with the same kind of style. So we're going to do pickup, or I like to do P underscore. It helps determine everything that you're doing, or helps to find everything you're doing alphabetically when you're searching for tags in the selection menu. So we're going to do pickup $100, or pickup underscore M underscore 100. So that's pickup money 100. So we'll get $100 from this $100 bill. And then when we are detected, let's do something fancy. We are going to get a counter. So once we're detected, we can't be detected again. So we're going to get a counter from our gadgets, logic and processing. And then we're going to get a not gate as well. And then once we're detected, we don't want to be detected again, so we don't give the player like $1 million from one $100 bill. So go ahead and move the counter full output of the counter into our not gate. And then the not gate is going to plug into our tag. So this way, this tag can't be detected when it's already been detected. Just going to fancy up the wires a little bit so it's easier to read. Alright, and then we want to play a little bit of an animation. So I'm going to, let's see here. I want to fade out the bill, and I also want it to follow the player. So let's make keyframe, and this is going to be our fade keyframe. And since this is a painting, we can just turn down the opacity all the way. And I'm going to go ahead and make it so slow power up 1 second, and then we need a timer, which is in our logic and processing. Go ahead and grab that timer, and it's going to be 1.1 seconds for the target time, and that's in the properties panel. And we're going to hook up the counter full output to start timer. And then back in our assembly menu, gadgets, movers and output, go ahead and grab a destroyer. place that down next to the timer. And then plug in the timer finish pulse into the destroyer. And take the counter full output and plug that into the keyframe. And then we want one last thing, because we want it to follow the player. And that would be a follower. And that's in our movers and output section, and the destroyer is in the movers and output section as well, and our gadgets menu. Follower, go ahead and place that down. And we're going to turn it on with the counter full output as well. And we're going to have to add a tag onto our player for the follower to follow. So why don't we do that now? It's just going to be in our gadgets menu, for sensors and input, tag, it's the second option. Go ahead and place that down on your player's logic board. I already had it open, so I'll give you a second. And then we're going to name the tag player. Alright, and once you have that all set up, let's go back to the cache pickup. And the follower is going to be 1 meters a second, strength 50, that seems fine. And the tag name, of course, is going to be player. Alright, that looks like a decent pickup to me. One thing that we could do is get a sound effect. So we could open up the modes menu, sound mode, search sound effects. And let's go ahead and get a, let's see here. I don't know, gaming maybe? Positive power-ups? Cryptocurrency, that sounds good. And again, the counter full output would go into that as well. And this is all just to have this as an animated well, and it looks nice, but now we actually have to set up the pickup on the puppet. So go ahead and exit the sound mode, go back to your gadgets menu, open up logic and processing, get a microchip. I'm going to go ahead and place that next to our equipping logic microchip that I have already set up. And again, this is something recent I've been doing. I've been providing the scenes before I've edited them, so you can follow along in this tutorial if you haven't been already. I should probably put that up beforehand, and I'll probably make a disclaimer for it. But hey, you can follow along like it's a Media Molecule tutorial, except it's a bit faster. So go ahead and in this microchip, pick up processing. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a cog icon and turn it white. Then in this microchip, I'm gonna make another microchip because I like to stay organized. I'm gonna name this one currency pickup. I'm gonna go ahead and make it green for that moolah. And then custom icon, I'm gonna use the trophy. I'm gonna open this up, and this is gonna be really, really easy. We are gonna go ahead and make a trigger zone in our sensors and input section of our gadgets menu. And we're gonna go ahead and open the properties of that. And we want to detect tags. And then this is pretty useful for detecting like multiple types of currencies. This little drop down thing, when I said you could keep organized with the text, like if we had like P_M_1 for $1, it would show up right next to this one that we have selected already. And we want this in a decent collision box around our player. So I'm going to go to the second page of the properties panel, make it a cube. I'm going to place the little ball into the center of the player. And I'm going to change the zone size down to fit. So I'm lowering the Y. lowering the Z just a tiny bit, and then lowering the X quite a bit. Alright, that seems decent enough to me. And once this detects that money, it's going to play that animation, but we also want it to... We also want to get a signal manipulator from our logic and processing section of our gadgets menu. Hook up the trigger zone into that signal manipulator with the detected output going into the signal input. And this is just going to be a flash, so we want to turn pulse on input on, which is the second remapper mode in the properties panel. And what this is going to do is just quickly send a flash signal, so it's only going to do it once. And we will get a variable modifier. And we are going to open up this variable modifier. The variable modifier is in the logic and processing section of your gadgets menu, by the way. And we're going to change the variable name to cache. And we want to set the operation type to add. And in this case, the operation value is going to be 100 because we are going to set, or we're going to add $100 because that's what we're picking up. Go ahead and hook up the signal manipulator output into the variable modifier input. So now, every time that we sense $100, we're going to go ahead and add $100 to our inventory. And I'm going to do one last microchip in here for now. And this is just going to be a quick HUD because I want to have a visual representation of how much money we have. So I'm going to go ahead and make it white, give it the film strip icon, and I'm going to place down another microchip within the HUD microchip, make it green, give it the reward icon, and then name it cache. And I'm going to go ahead and place a, let's see here, we want a text displayer in our signals and, movers and output section, yeah. Go ahead and get that text displayer, it's near the end of the list. And this is going to be just, we're going to just have it output cache onto the screen. And we're going to go ahead and go on to the alignment page, which is the fourth page in the properties panel. And we're going to go ahead and choose bottom and then left. So it's right down there in the bottom left. And I'm going to go ahead and make it so we have about, I'm going to add a semicolon after cache and then about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 10 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have a cache display, but we actually need to get the cache value and display it as a number. So go ahead and get a number displayer. And this, we're going to go ahead and open up properties panel of this. And we're going to open up the properties panel of the text displayer so we get them displaying at the same time. And then on the number displayer properties panel, we're going to go ahead and go to the second to last page. And we're going to change the sort order from 1 to 2. And what this is going to do is force that number box and number to be over the cache displayer. Sometimes you can get layer mismatches and the number wouldn't display because it's technically behind the cache display. And we're going to go ahead and go to the text box properties on the number displayer, turn off show text box, and then border properties, we're going to turn off show border. And we're going to go ahead and go to the alignment page, and we want to do center, middle, so it will actually center, no, left, middle. That way, when the number increases, it's going to fill to the right instead of dividing equally on both sides. Then we're going to go ahead and do vertical alignment bottom. And we're not going to do left because that would push it all the way into the cache. So we're going to go ahead and turn on precise move in our guides menu. And we're going to go ahead and try to fit this as close as possible. You might need to close the text displayer property panel. It's kind of a glitch where if you have one open, it's not going to move at all. Alright, that looks good to me. And then we're going to go to our gadgets menu, logic and processing, and we want to get a variable modifier. Go ahead and place that wherever you want in this microchip, and we're going to get the cache variable. And so we want to change the operation type to get. And that's going to give us an output of the variable modifier, and we're going to go ahead and output that to the number range of our number displayer. So now when we play time, you can see that we have the cache thing down there. And one thing I want to set up before we go ahead and test this out is when we are shopping, we want to hide the player's HUD. And this is a good thing to do if you have like any other menus, like a pause menu and stuff like that as well. So on our motherboard, I'm not going to place a microchip for this, but I'm going to go ahead and make another variable, which is in our logic and processing section of our gadgets menu. I'm going to place that in the corner nice and snug, and I'm going to do hide HUD. And I'm going to go ahead and change the minimum value to 0 and the maximum value to 1. And you can make this persistent if you want, but I don't think you would hide your HUD over scenes unless you're doing a cutscene. So I'm going to do persistent dream anyway. And we're going to go ahead and make a simple thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and move the HUD over a little bit. We want to get a NOT gate from our logic and processing section and place that down. And a variable modifier. And we want to get in this variable modifier in the operation type. The variable name is hide HUD. And we're going to go ahead and output the variable value into the NOT gate. And then the NOT output into the HUD. And now we were able to pick up that cache. The animation, you couldn't really see the animation, could you? Oh well. I guess not following the player is fine. Yeah, I want to move on. It's already been like 20 minutes, so. Alright, this is probably going to be the most difficult part. This is a lot up to you, but we want to set up the... This is kind of... Like, you guys asked for this, but since we're going to be doing a list, we want to do... we want to make a screen here, basically. So, what we're going to want to do is... We're probably going to want to hide the player, and we want to activate a camera when we are doing this list, so that way everything is properly, that everything looks proper. So go ahead and go into the gadgets menu, and we're going to get a camera from our cameras and lighting section. We're going to go and place this somewhere on our shopkeeper's logic, and this is the puppet's logic, yeah, this is basically the puppet's logic. It's the microchip at the bottom of the feet. The reason why I have it set, I have it open right now, is because it wanted it easily accessible when we started. So go ahead and place this down, this camera down in here. And we're going to go ahead and set up a nice camera angle for this. Trying to find a good one that will allow us to see. Maybe change the FOV a bit, lower it. I'm pressing up. Yeah, I like this. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks good, and I'm gonna move... Wait, what? Oh no, that's not... Did I really place this cashier? Okay, there. I'm gonna move a bit to the right behind this machine so we have more space to work with. We're gonna have the list on the left here. I accidentally stopped recording. Oops. Okay. Okay. So now we want the actual list and stuff. Okay, so actually we're probably going to want to have the default FOV, because the way we're going to have this, I want it to be somewhat interesting. So we're going to have the item like physically visible on the screen, and it's going to be really, really easy to line it up if we have the same FOV as like the actual camera. So I'm going to try to get this acceptable position. That looks good. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and place down a excuse me. I'm going to place down a signal manipulator, and this is going to be our toggle for speaking and activating this menu. So I'm going to go to the custom remapper section, and we're going to do toggle output at on, and we're going to go ahead and open up this camera, and we want to change the transition time to 0, and we're going to disable controller sensor input. Actually, no, we don't want to disable controller sensor input, excuse me. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and output the signal manipulator into this camera. And then we want to hide the player, so we are going to make a keyframe. And we're going to go over to our player puppet, go over to the physical properties page in the properties panel, it looks like a Newton's cradle, and turn off visible. Then I'm going to stop recording. And that's going to make him invisible when we are talking to this merchant here. Now, there's a few ways you can do a list. Depending on how many items you have, you could either make it simple or you could make it scrolling. A scrolling list would be pretty difficult. You would want a lot more stuff, so I might ask you guys if you want, well, I'm asking right now, if you guys want a scrolling list, I can make it part 2 of this video, but for now, because I've already recorded like 20 minutes worth of footage, I'm gonna say we're not gonna have a scrolling list, because it's gonna be a lot easier to get this like whole menu going without scrolling. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So that's the camera position, and we want a text displayer, which is in our movers and output section of our gadgets menu. And we're gonna go ahead and open up the properties of this. Border, I don't want a border. And I also want there to be no curviness. Shadow is fine. I'm going to change the opacity down to about 70%. No, let's do 20% because I want to be able to see through it. And then we're going to go to the settings page, or second to last, and we're going to make it in scene. And I need to find where it is, actually. Okay, it's in the table. Go ahead and bring it up. And we want to also turn on allow rotation, simply because it is facing the direction of the microchip. And no, okay, that looks good. We're gonna go ahead and move this over, and I want it to face camera. No. Okay, not face camera. What happens if we turn off allow rotation, then face camera? Okay, that looks good. Yeah, okay. And we're gonna go ahead and go over to text properties, and in order for text displayer to actually display, it needs to have text in it. So we're gonna go ahead and put a space in the text field. And then on text box properties, we're gonna go ahead and make it so it is not auto fit, which is going to allow us to make an actual little window here that we can adjust. And that's going to be where our item is displayed. Oop. Nope, we don't want that. I feel like if we have it like this, I want it to be a little bit level with this cashier character. We could probably do some animations with him. I don't know. I don't think we'll have time for that, but I feel like if you have the cashier visible, you can have a little like Legend of Zelda type dealio, where he animates depending on what you buy and stuff. Maybe even sell menu. I mean, we're not going to be selling stuff right now, but... Okay, so we have this little display box here. And now we want to make a description field or name field. So we're going to go ahead and bring out another text displayer. I'm going to just copy the other one, but this time we don't want it in scene. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, and we get to keep the advantages, and I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger. And of course, I want to make it so it's the same width as the one in scene, which is a little bit hard to do. And we're going to... Also, I'm pretty sure this is a glitch, but this is ridiculous. I feel MM needs to fix that. And we want it really short, because this is just going to be a name. Excuse me. Alright, so we got our background here for the name display, and then we're going to go ahead and extend this out. And I'm going to actually turn off visibility of that so we get a little bit more space to work with. Oh, that's great. Since that one is in scene, we get to see it. Let's see here. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to go ahead and move that down. This is going to be a description field. No, this please. Go. Well, actually, shoot. There we go. That looks good. Look at that. I like that. Let's try to move this up just a tiny bit. There we go. Cool. The reason why we have this physical again is because otherwise we wouldn't be able to put an item over it. Let's see. Now we need the actual list. So this is going to be our background elements. I'm going to make a microchip. And this is going to be our shop menu. And I'm going to do custom icon, film strip, change it to color white, and then I'm going to put down another microchip in here, Make it white, give it the cog, and this is going to be our background. Alright. And now go ahead and open up that background, and I'm going to move in these 3 text displayers that we made. I'm going to shrink this down so we have... Resize that canvas. Oh god. There we go. Alright. And I'm going to go and plug in that... No, we're not going to plug it in yet. So now we want to actually start making the menus. So if we play, we can see it down here. Okay. And we want menus. Menus. So we're probably even going to want even more background elements. This is where things get annoying. So, since you wanted a list, you guys wanted a list, you're going to get a list. So we have to make another text displayer here. And so we're just going to copy our name one. And this is entirely dependent on how many items you have in your game. But we only have 3 in this shop here. So I'm gonna go ahead and... Why? I hate you. Okay. Oh wait, no, that's not the right text displayer. That's why. Okay. There we go. Okay. There it is. No? Okay, yeah, text displayers are really buggy. They're really buggy. They do not want to work. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this up till it's at the top of our little page here that we've made for ourselves. And then I'm gonna extend it a little bit. And this is gonna contain our name and how much it costs. And then down here, I guess, we'd have, like, the type of item and then the description or something like that. But, yeah, so we get the name and the cost here. And I'm going to do something for my own sanity. And I'm going to go ahead and place a divider in here. And, oh, would you look at that? That actually put it exactly where I want it. Kind of. I'm going to place a few spaces. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So we'll have cash on the right and name on the left. So you get plenty of space for name and for the amount of money it costs. So, even to help us out further, I'm going to put down the cash symbol in here. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. Cool. I also love that it's not actually placed where it is when it's playing. Look at that. You see that? Okay, now it is placed. That you guys saw that, right? I'm not going insane, right? Okay. Well, we only have 3 items, so I only need 3 of these. Yay! Your mileage may vary. Oh man, it's already been another 13 minutes. Yeah, it's all glitchy. Text displayers really need some love, man. Alright. Nice. Cool. Cool and nice. Alright, so now we have our background elements. We want the actual menus, the actual selector, and actually, you know, one thing I forgot is how much cash does the player have? We need that visible on this menu, or else, you know, you're not going to be able to buy anything. So let's see. Where's room for that in this menu? Ah, at the very bottom we can make one. At the very bottom we can put that in. So I'm gonna go and copy this down here. Gonna pause time or else it complains. Drag this down. Okay, and we're gonna change the text here to let's do D-pad up, down, D-pad control, D-pad Y up, down, down, up. Okay, hold on, let me just check the map here. Alright, so you want to know what this icon is? This icon is UI, control, D-pad up, down. And that gives you that. Yay. Okay. Select. And then X is by. And then we have, of course, the amount of money you have. I don't know how to signify that it's your money, but. Okay. And then we want to go to the alignment, and we want to make sure that it is on the left side. There we go. And of course, we're going to have to move this over. And I'm a stickler, so I'm going to align it with the other options up here that we have. And the reason why we're making like the backgrounds separate from the text is because you can't animate this text field. Otherwise, it'd be amazing. It'd be really easy to do menus like this, but they're not. They're not easy. There we go. Cool. So now that we have the background, let's go ahead. Well, actually, the thing that we're missing here is the cache display itself. So let me go ahead and get that set up. It's very simple, pretty much identical to the one that we have down there already. So I'm going to make the number display. I'm going to turn off the text box and the border. And alignment, we're going to do middle, left. And then we need the variable modifier. Set it to get cache. So we have variable modifier that gets the cache value, and that goes into our number display. And then this we're going to put over our little thing down here. And why is it working now and it wasn't working earlier? I don't know. I can move it even though it's, well, kind of move it. Even though it's overlaying, maybe because I have both of them selected, I don't know. And we're going to do sort order 2 again. Okay, cool. Now, again, scrolling list would take up another like 30 minutes at least. So we're going to try to do just a very simple, very simple list. So we have 3 items in the shop. So what we want is we want to get a selector here. And we're going to change this to be 3 ports. And we are going to, let's see here, I'm going to get 3 keyframes with nothing on it. And these are going to activate these keyframes. And this is just for the selection, so we can tell what is what we have selected. So we're going to go ahead and use the keyframe, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some brightness to this. Let's do 10% and up the text box opacity by 10% as well. And we're going to do that for all of our text displayers. Not all of them for the single keyframe, but next keyframe goes to the next selection, and so on and so forth. Alright. And let's see here. That looks good to me. And now we need the actual, like, display logic. So we're gonna make 3 microchips. And it's going to be 1 for each item. So we're going to go ahead and do the item, like the goblet icon. I'm going to change it to be, I don't know, yellow maybe? Yeah, that works. And the first one is going to be our magic staff. And then we're going to have another one that's going to be our cowboy hat. And then another one that is our top hat. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and hook up the selector accordingly. Well, we're probably going to want to make the display first. So the key to this actual display in here is we want the items to, like the word, to display above this. So also another thing I want to do first is, since we already have keyframes set up, let's go ahead and set these items up over here. So we are going to go ahead and copy these over and move them in the general spot of that box, the preview box, so we can actually position it correctly with the camera. Trying to get nice position for this staff. There we go. And then of course we want to turn these off by default. So go ahead and do that now. And we're going to go ahead and turn off preview invisibility in our show/hide menu, and that's going to give us back everything that we had previously turned off, which is fine for now. And we're going to go ahead and use these keyframes that we placed to turn back on these objects. If I can even... Oh, I think we have to scope out maybe? Yep. Turn on the staff for the first keyframe, and then turn on the cowboy hat for the second keyframe. And then for the third keyframe, we're going to turn on the top hat. Alright. Cool. And then, of course, we're going to be doing the text overlay next. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on the visibility for these objects while we're at it, because we don't care about it anymore. And we're going to go ahead and place a... Well, you know what? I'm going to delete our other microchips for the items so we get a template. I'm going to go ahead and get another text displayer from our movers and output section of our gadgets menu. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up our camera, get out of it. Then we're going to go ahead and edit this, play time, and we want to position this correctly. And we also want to change the sort order in the second to last page settings to be 2. And we're gonna do the name. So this is Magic Wand. And we're gonna go ahead and make this no text box and no border. And we're gonna go ahead and move this over right on top and change the horizontal alignment to left. And we also want to put the cash in there. And this is going to be a hard set price, so I'm going to go ahead and just hard code this in instead of using a number displayer. And the magic wand is going to be $50. And probably going to want to extend it. Yep. There we go. And now we're going to want to put the type down here, and we also want to get a small description in. Let's go ahead and copy this. And we want type, which is a weapon. Nope. No. And we're going to want to get its description in as well. And probably going to want to, we're going to shrink this so the text is smaller. And we want to change the horizontal alignment to left and top for the vertical alignment. And we want to make it so auto fit is turned off. Okay, that's fine. And we're going to change this to extend out to the box size of this box that we have here. A little bit less maybe. Alright. So we have it in the upper left corner. And let's type out a little description here for this magic staff. And of course the little preview is lying to us, so go ahead and shrink that down. An old staff, some old, or some kook. I want kook, not cook. How do you even spell kook? With a K. That's how you do it. Some old kook sold me. Is it magic, you ask? How should I know? I just bought it. Okay, and we want to make a copy of our magic wand display. And this one's going to be turned off by default. In fact, we're going to extend this microchip. And again, we copied the magic wand 50 over. So now we have two of them. And one of them is going to be magic wand sold out. Oof. That's not good. I'm gonna turn back on guides. I'm gonna turn off the previous one. No, stop it. Really wish they would fix that bug. I'm just going to shrink this because I'm lazy. Stop. There we go. Stop it. Let me go ahead and space this out a bit. Still need to shrink this down a bit more. Move it over. Or you know what? I don't like that we're changing the size. I feel like that's cheap. So we're gonna, instead of do sold out, we're just gonna do XXX. For none. Ugh, shoot. Okay. None. Okay. There we go. It's not naughty, I promise. It just means no, we don't have any. We don't have any. It's not naughty, it's just we don't have any. Okay. There we go. So now that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Alright. And now we just need to copy this over, but first of all, what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and go over to our motherboard. We're going to open up the shopping section of our microchip here. And we want to place down 3 new variables. But I'm just going to copy the hide HUD variable, because this one, we only want it to be 0 to 1, unless you're, like, have an item that has more than 1 that you can hold. But in this case, we only want to be able to own 1 magic staff, and we only want to be able to own 1 hat each. So we're gonna make 3 copies of hide HUD, and first one is gonna be our. We're gonna name this I, like _I, underscore staff for item staff, and then I underscore cowboy hat. And then I underscore top hat. And this is going to be for if we have the item or not. So we're going to make it so he doesn't have the item if you already have it. So it's really dependent on how you're building the building your game, and it's really dependent on how you have the inventory system set up. But I feel like you guys should be able to adapt it. So now that we have this magic staff here, we want to only turn on this if we're going to turn on this if we don't have the item, and then turn on this if we do have the item. So we're going to get a variable modifier from our logic and processing section, and we're going to place that down, and we're going to get inventory staff. And we're going to go ahead and make a not gate. And that's going to hook up in here. The not gate's going to go into the start text of the magic wand 50. And then the variable modifier is also going to plug into the second option, which is magic wand XXX, because we don't have any, or you already own a magic wand, so we don't want to sell you one. We don't have any more magic wands. What do you think we are? A magic store? Just a general store. Alright, cool. So that's almost it for that. We want to get the actual purchase logic in here. So we're going to go ahead and place down a node. And we're going to get down another microchip in here. And then this is going to be purchase item. And this is going to have the icon like that. I'm not going to change much about it. And we are going to also place 2 nodes in here. Top one is going to be has item, and second one is going to be selected, and this we're gonna copy this selected over here as well. So we have a selected node on our magic staff microchip and the purchase item microchip. And we're going to go ahead and hook these up. And what did I make this node for? I think this was going to be the selected thing. Yeah, we're going to go and delete that old node. I think I might have thought about making a controller sensor here, but we're going to place a controller sensor in each purchase item because it's going to be a little bit easier to organize. It's going to look a little bit more tidy. Okay, so if we do not have the item, so we're going to take down and we're going to get a NOT gate, take that out, place it next to has item node, and that's going to go into our NOT gate. And so if we don't have the item and we are selected, so we're going to get an AND gate. So that's going to go ahead and plug into our AND gate. And we're actually going to get a controller sensor instead of plugging in the selected thing. So go to sensors, go to the sensors and input, and get a controller sensor. Delete all wires coming out of it. Open up the properties panel. Go to important properties, it's the second to last tab. And then make it remote controllable. It doesn't really matter unless you have multiplayer here for the player selection. We're going to go back to the very first page, and we're going to get the cross button, and that's going to output to our AND gate. And then we're going to do selected. That's going to go ahead and go into the power of our controller sensor. So we can only purchase the item if this is selected. And I'm going to make a copy of this controller sensor, and I'm going to place it down in our shop menu, because we want to be able to purchase, we want to be able to select which item in here. Alright, and let's see, cross, and we want to get a we want to get two variable modifiers in here. One of them is going to be add to our cash, but we're actually going to subtract $50. And we are going to go ahead and do this. We are going to plug in the AND gate. We're going to take the output of the AND gate and plug it into the variable modifier for cash. We're going to copy this variable modifier, and then we're going to do a set variable, or actually we can do add, and we're going to do item staff, and we're going to add a value of 1 and the operation value. And then one more is we're going to set our equipped weapon to 1. And that's we're gonna hook up our AND gate to that modifier as well. And then one more thing here is if we're gonna make another AND gate, so go ahead and copy that. We're gonna hook up the cross button and the has item. And we're gonna go ahead and hook up this AND gate to our last variable modifier, which was equipped weapon. So basically we can change the equipped weapon to this staff if we want to from this menu. Alright, so this all looks fine and dandy in here, and now we can copy this to make more items. So go ahead and hook up output A of the selector into this magic staff. And I'm going to copy this for our cowboy hat. And I'm going to go ahead and edit everything. I'm probably going to speed up this, or at least the text part. Alright, and once you get all the text edited and in place properly, so you probably want to move it down to start my playing scene, so you might end up with something like this, and in which case, what do you mean? What do you mean we have, what? Oh, I staff, I top hat, I cowboy hat. Okay. Oh, that was about. Okay, my first turn off. That makes sense. Also, go easier access to this text. Replace full count, actually, I think. If you're trying to place now, with singing stuff, 1, 2, 3, no. Okay, this one number 2 times 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna make even smaller. No? Okay, then I'll have to use precise move, damn it. I want it to look good. I'm sorry, but it has to look good. Okay, it's lined up. Yeah, looking good. Thanks, messages. Looking good is right. Okay, and next we want to go into purchase item, and we're going to change all these variables, as well as this one right here. So you want to change this variable name from I_staff to I_cowboy hat. I swear to God. Get cowboy hats. Yes. Then we're gonna open up the purchase item microchip, and we're gonna go ahead and change these variables. Cash. We made the cost of the cowboy hat 25, so we're gonna change this to -25 instead of -50. And you know what I did? I did something really stupid. Completely forgot a step. So I'm gonna have to fix this. Oh no. Okay. So go ahead and move the AND gate over for purchasing the item, because we want to make sure that we have the cash first before we are able to buy it. I'm really stupid right now. So go ahead and copy the cash variable modifier that we made earlier for subtracting. And we're going to change this to get, and we're going to delete the operation value. And we want a calculator as well. And then this is going to be greater than, and we're going to do greater than the input, which is A. So we're going to hook up the variable modifier for cash, get. We're going to hook that up to A of this calculator. And the calculator is in the logic and processing section of the gadgets menu, of course. And we're going to open the calculator properties, and we're going to do greater than. So A is greater than B. So in this case, this staff costs $50. So we're going to want to say that we have more than $49.99, which would mean, which would basically mean A is equal to or greater than 50. So once you get that hooked up, we're gonna copy this over, or if you are smarter than me and already made this distinction, then you probably made it on your own, which I'm happy if you did, because a lot of people don't know how to take the logic that I make and then like turn it into something else. I don't know. And so now that we have this fixed on the magic staff, I'm going to copy this and move it over to the the cowboy hat, excuse me. Would I stop getting messages? So we're going to hook up the calculator to the AND gate again over here. I do profusely apologize for the messages. I don't even know how to turn those off. Okay. Alright. Cool. That should work now. Well, no. We forgot to finish this for the cowboy hat. Instead of I staff, we want to do I cowboy hat for the second variable, and then the third variable is going to be equipped hat. There we go. And of course, the cowboy hat, I believe, is the very first item over here. 1 cowboy hat. Yes, okay. So now that we have the cowboy hat set up, we're going to make the third item, which is top hat. So go ahead and hook up B from the selector here, and we're going to go ahead and put that into the selected for the cowboy hat. And we're going to go ahead and turn that off for now. Make a copy of it. I'm going to turn that on. And then this is, of course, top hat. This is disrespectful with the cowboy hat. I gotta fix this. There we go. Okay. Now, of course, we just have to edit this. 25 seems like a good hit price for the top hat. We'll be able to buy everything in the store, which is great. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and type in all of these for the top hat. Let's make this. Doesn't. No, top hat. Top hat. Top hat. Okay. Alright, that's all that text formatted, and now we just need to change the variables again. So we got top hat instead of cowboy hat for this variable here, and then purchase item, cash, yeah, that's the get. Set over here, minus 25, that's fine, and then top hat is 1, and then E hat is 2. Alright. And then C from the selector goes into here. And now we can go ahead and turn on all of our microchips. And we're going to go ahead and hook up the D-pad to our selector here, up and down. So on the third page, we get all the D-pad outputs as singular buttons. So down is going to be our next, because that's going down the list. And then up is going to be our previous for the selector, because we're going up the list, which is the previous item. Alright, and one last thing here is we want to be able to actually, you know, open this menu to shop. So we're going to hook up the signal manipulator to this keyframe here that hides the player, and then we're going to hook it up to the shop menu microchip that we made earlier, and all of our logic is in. And then we want actually we're going to open up our shop menu logic real quick because we want to be able to exit the menu. So we're going to put down a circle button, and we're going to hook that up to our signal manipulator. And we are going to add I feel like we need to... One thing that I'm worried about is that if we open up this menu with X, we're gonna interact with him with triangle, so that'll open the menu. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So circle from our controller sensor in the shop menu will go out to the signal manipulator, which will toggle it off because it's on to turn on the shop menu. And then we want a sensors trigger zone, and this is going to be a possessed controller sensor. We're going to change it into a cube, and this is going to detect if the player is in front of the shop, so we can actually, you know, start shopping. And that is going to go into an AND gate. And AND gate is in the logic and processing section of your gadgets menu, and the AND gate is going to go into our signal manipulator. And then we're going to make a copy of this controller sensor from the shop menu, because we need a controller sensor to actually open the menu. And we're going to choose triangle. And we're going to do one last thing. To signify that we need to use triangle to open the menu, we're going to go ahead and get a text displayer. And we're going to have this trigger zone. We're going to copy this AND gate first, because we want to be able to see this, not when we're in the menu, but we're standing here. So this trigger zone is going to hook up to our AND gate, our new AND gate that we made, and which goes into a text displayer. And then we need a NOT gate from our logic and processing section. And that's going to hook up into our AND gate. And then the signal manipulator is going to go ahead and output to our NOT gate. So if we are not in the menu and we're standing here in front of the dude, we're going to get a text displayer, which is going to be a button prompt. So go ahead and put down in the text field open bracket or less than, I think, triangle greater than, and that's going to give us the triangle button. And we're going to turn off that border and the background, and we're going to make this white. And we're going to make this in the scene, and we're going to make it face the camera. And that's in the settings page, was the second to last. And we're going to go ahead and put that triangle above this dude's head. Alright, cool. So now we should be able to go up to him and start buying items. Okay. There we go. Well, one thing that I completely forgot about. One thing is we need to open up the shop menu here, and we're going to go ahead and open up the magic staff, and we need the selected output from this node, and that's going to hook up to the description and the item type. Otherwise, it's going to lay on top, and we're going to do that for all of our item microchips. The selected node, it goes into the description and the item type. There we go. We have $100. That cache menu is still popping up. That's because we forgot to set the variable. Alright. I was like, I don't remember setting up a jump sound. I mean, selection sound. Well, that's probably because we forgot to turn off the controls for the player. So yeah, we were able to set up a shop and we bought stuff from him, but there's a couple things we need to clean up first. First of all, I don't know why he isn't following the player tag. Let's change up this strength to 100 and dampening to 100, speed. We're gonna do 0.5 seconds. And then another thing is this keyframe, we want to be able to turn off the controls for the player. I think doing that would not be what we want. I think if we go over to the important properties section of this controller sensor, we might be even able to toggle this. No, it's not a button, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. So we're gonna get a switch just to do this quick and dirty. You can do this with a variable if you'd like. And that's gonna hook up. We're gonna turn this off by default, and the switch is in the sensors and input section of your microchip. And we're gonna go ahead and turn that switch off by default, and then we're going to open up the controller sensor, go to important properties. The on-off section is going to go to disable the controls, And let's see in here, that keyframe we wanted is going to go ahead and turn back on that switch. So when we're in that menu, we cannot move around. And the reason why we didn't do that with this camera is because then we wouldn't be able to even, you know, interact with this menu here. And let's see here. Which variable was it that turned off? The hide HUD. Okay. So in here, we're going to go ahead and do a couple things. We're going to make 2 variable modifiers in here. Well, we're going to make 1, and then we're going to copy it. It's going to be set hide HUD to 1, and that's going to be our AND gate that goes into the signal manipulator. And then we're going to copy that over, and we're going to copy that to the right of our shop menu, and we're going to set this. We're going to change the operation value to 0, and we're going to get that circle button output, and that's going to go into the variable modifier. So now when we open our menu, it goes to 1, and then when we close our menu, it goes to 0. And the reason why we're not doing it constantly with this is because if we have this shopkeeper in the scene, and you go somewhere else and you want to hide the HUD, this is going to be constantly hiding that if we hook that up directly to this. So now we should be able to, first of all, pick up that cache, followed us, go in here, turns off the cache in the lower left, and we get a list of items that we can buy. Would you look at that? I don't know what's up with that chromatic aberration around the text. I don't know. But we can buy that now. Buy this now. Don't know why we can't buy the cowboy hat. We should be able to buy the cowboy hat. Why can't we buy the cowboy hat? Okay. Oh, the cowboy hat is set to $49.99. That's not right. Cowboy hat needs to be $25 or $24.99. Excuse me. I think we set up the price correctly. We just didn't set up the calculators correctly. Yeah, we set up the price correctly, but we didn't set up the calculators correctly. So we're going to lower this down. And just to get some extra fun in here, let's get a sound effect for buying stuff. Poor coins is great. It's getting a little bit crowded in these microchips, but hey. Hey, I don't care. You can add more space if you want. Trying to finish this up quickly because it's already been over an hour apparently, which is kind of my fault because I was explaining what I did preemptively before the tutorial started. That took up like 10 minutes. But hey, alright. Now we should have a decent menu. And another thing you could do is, like, if you have purchased the item, is you could turn this off. But I feel like if you can't figure that out after watching this tutorial, then you probably want to study on your own. Alright, give me that magic wand. Oh, did I not pick up the cache? I didn't pick up the cache. There we go. Got that magic wand. Got a cowboy hat. And let's buy the top hat too. And we can actually go back in and get the cowboy hat selected instead. There we go. Sweet. Alright. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So, if you want to see the alternative method to purchasing items, like buying it in the scene, like from this table or from this rack, or even like doing like a dialogue option instead, we can probably do that if you want. Go ahead and leave a comment regarding that. Yeah, so again, I have opened up a Patreon if you want to support me on that. I got a private Discord server. It's kind of popping in there. I let in a few people from the Facebook group, and I also let in a few people from the Dreams community. So if you guys are looking for a pretty cool server, I got one. You get there from Patreon though. Gotta be a patron to get access. So go ahead and leave comments, like, and subscribe. Bye. Bye.